Hi everybody, I'm Jennifer Roig-Francolí, creator of The Art of Freedom for Conscious Living and Masterful Artistry. And I am just coming on spontaneously today to share something just really openly with all of you and, in the hopes that it could be helpful, right? So you may or may not know, but I'm in the process of writing a book for musicians. And I've actually completed the manuscript, except for a few little tweaks here and there. So the manuscript is actually done, and it's in the very last phases of editing with my editor. Actually, she did 3 rounds of edits, and now it's in my hands. I'm just about to send it off, but I'm feeling really stuck. So hello to everybody coming on. And if you're watching later, I'd love to just know that you're here. So if you could just put something in the comments and say hi or where you're from or whatever, that would be great. And if you, have comments on what I'm saying or questions, feel free anytime. So anyway, I was just saying, I'm feeling, if you're a woman and you've ever given birth, it's like, in the very last stages of creation, it gets really hard. I've had 2 kids, so I know. There's probably more information than you want to hear, especially if you haven't had kids. But it's really hard when you're creating something, often at the very last bit. So my book is written, I've been editing it, it's almost done, and it is so hard for me to send it into production now. I'm really stuck. I'm stuck with the title. I've been laboring over the title for weeks now. I think I have the title, but I'm not completely 100% sure. But anyway, the point of the video I'm sharing today is that we get stuck in the creative process. And even when we're stuck, we're not really stuck, okay? It may feel really hard, it may feel impossible, but as long as we're clear about our purpose and our vision and what we want, and we're directed towards it, which I am with this book. I tried the first time maybe 12 years ago and gave up immediately. Tried again maybe 3-4 years ago and then had to stop. So this is my 3rd try, and I'm absolutely determined. This time I'm giving birth to this book, and it's going to be out there. Wish me luck. Right, so anyway, things get hard. So what do you do when you get stuck, or when it feels stuck, even if underneath things are moving? Well, I have something that I actually share in my book, which I share with my clients, with my students in my group programs and my private coaching clients. And it's called the 5 pre-pearls. 5 pre-pearls. And I came up with these 5 pre-pearls as something to, maybe warm up for a practice session. It's something you can do before something. So I'm going to share these 5 pre-pearls and just really authentically and openly share how I've been using them today and how it's helping me move forward with this creative process of getting my book out there. So the 5 pre-pearls are, and again, if you're here and you could just put something in the comments, that would be great, because I want to connect with you and know that you're here and listening and watching and whatever. But also because if you comment or hit emojis or whatever, Facebook is kind and shares it to more people. So yeah, that might be nice. Anyway, thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. So the 5 pre-pearls are, the first one I just touched on already, purpose. It's your desire. So let's say you want to practice. You want to practice for a performance. You want to practice for an audition. You have a clear purpose or a goal that you're working towards, right? If you don't have a specific goal like that, that's fine. But as long as you have a bigger purpose, a reason for why you're practicing. Maybe it's simply you love music and you want to connect with your instrument and music and get better at making music. You want to get better at your instrument, or you just want to enjoy yourself, right? Whatever the purpose is, it's so helpful to moving forward when you start with knowing why. That, by the way, purpose is also the first of the 5 Art of Freedom life pillars, which I'm not going to go into right now, but because today I'm talking about the 5 pre-pearls, which might be new to a lot of you here. So that first one is purpose or desire. The second pre-pearl is what I call open asking or wondering. It's where you just get to ask questions without needing an answer. So for me, for example, I'm talking about creating this book that is getting out there soon, hopefully. Knock on wood and pray, whatever. It's gonna get out there. If it's up to me, it'll get out there. It's nothing, not everything's up to me. There's an element of grace involved too in everything. So surrendering that. Anyway, I'm wondering, okay, how can I move past my resistance to the next phase of book creation? If you are resisting practicing, you might start wondering about, why am I resisting this? If you're resisting applying for jobs, why am I resisting this? But you can also ask simple questions like, I wonder why the neighbors don't have flowers in that thing across the street. Or, I wonder why the sky is gray, or I wonder why it's colder today than it should be for June. It really doesn't matter. The second pre-pearl is there to kind of wake up your curiosity, get your creative juices flowing in a really easy way, to just generate questions without trying to answer them and without expecting an answer. So for me, it's like, why am I feeling so stuck with getting this book out there when it's almost done, right? Now, I don't need to know why. My point is I'm asking the question, I'm putting it out there, and that's it. I'm letting go of the question. Okay, so that's pre-pearl number 2 is wondering and open asking. Pre-pearl number 3 is called shadow. We all have fears and insecurities. Some of us have imposter syndrome, worrying. A lot of my students, not just my students, a lot of musicians I know have imposter syndrome. They worry that they're actually not a real musician or not a real violinist, even if they're really at the top of their game. It has nothing to do with skill level. You can still feel insecure and like you're fooling people. If you can relate to that, by the way, it would be great to hear from you in the comments. So yeah, so that's number 3. And if I were going to be really honest about the issue that I'm bringing up today, my resistance and reluctance to working on the book now, even that it's almost done, and well, there's a lot of fear under there. What are people going to think of this book? Are people going to trash it? Is anybody going to buy it? Does anybody care? Right? And the resistance to, choosing a title. What if I choose the wrong title? And then it just destroys the book because it's the wrong title. A lot of these things are really irrational. Okay? I know the value of this book. I know the value of my teaching. And so it's just what I call doubt monsters that are kind of whispering to me out, which is what we all do to ourselves, right? We come up with, negative thoughts that try to sabotage us and try to take us down and try to keep us smaller than we really are, right? And those little doubt monsters, those negative self-critical thoughts, prevent us from moving forward to do the good work in the world that we all have to do. And as musicians, you got to really pay attention to when you're doing that to yourself, because we musicians have a real responsibility to bring beauty into the world, and this world really needs it right now. We need beautiful music, good people to share their goodness with the world, and what better way than to do it through music and other creative expressions. So pre-pearl number 3 is to just acknowledge that there's fear underneath, and it's in everybody. So one day it may not be present at all, so you don't need to go there. Just be aware that there is some under the surface. And with each of these pre-pearls, you don't need to spend a lot of time with them. In fact, you can just spend seconds with these, or you can skip some of them altogether. You don't need to go through all 5, okay? So I'm not going to dwell on this number 3. In fact, I usually don't. And I don't recommend ever dwelling on the shadow fear stuff. But if you're like afraid to face it, that is something to acknowledge too. And when you're afraid to face your fears, you're actually increasing tension in your system. And that tension is going to prevent you from having the best music making experience you can have, even if it's just a simple practice session, whether it's an audition or a performance or a lesson you're going to. When you can acknowledge that there is more tension in you than necessary and you know how to let it go, which is what I teach all of my students, by the way, you know, how to let go of all of it instantly and then again and again. When you can notice and acknowledge that the fear is under there and you know how to let go of that tension, everything you do afterwards is going to be a lot easier. So again, you don't need to dwell on it, and I'm not going to dwell on the underlying fears and insecurities. I'm going to move on, but at least I am admitting that they're there. It's an act of humility also, and there's nothing more important to bringing you forward in a good way than being humble about, you know, your limitations and things that are difficult. Okay, so the fourth pre-pearl, after you've acknowledged whatever fears or self-doubt are there, the fourth one is kind of the opposite. It's the light. We have the shadow and then we have the light. And whatever you want to do when you're paying attention to the light, that's a very personal practice. And you know, it could just mean waking up a little bit of joy or a little bit of love, or, you know, thinking some loving thoughts. Like right now, I'm feeling like, I really love that you're here. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this. Gratitude is a wonderful way to bring light into this practice of the 5 pre-pearls. If you pray, if you have a contemplative practice, that's a wonderful thing to do also to bring in some light, positive affirmations, all these things. Like if I'm thinking, for example, I really don't want to work on this book, which is what I've been kind of thinking the last few days. What could be a positive opposite of that? Well, I am open to working on this book. Okay, so if I start thinking that way, everything gets a little easier. If I'm thinking I don't want to practice or I don't want to work on this book, and that's kind of underlying everything I'm doing, I'm bringing a lot of tension to everything I'm doing, and it makes everything harder and less pleasant. So instead, I want to flip to a more positive way of thinking about things. And so it could be more like, well, I really don't want to practice, but I'm open to the possibility that things might shift for me and I might really get excited about practicing soon, maybe even right now. And I don't know, you see what I'm saying? If you have, you're flipping your attitude when you go here, and you're thinking about, you're looking at things through a positive lens of possibility. You're not making yourself be happy. You're not making yourself be positive. That doesn't work. But being open to the possibility that your attitude might shift, that is the first step. So personally, I am totally open to working on this book today. I really am. I still feel a little resistance, a little hesitation. There's a little clutching here, but that's okay. That's me. That's my life. That's, you know, that's who I am right now. So acknowledging that without criticizing it, and again coming back to, well, I'm open to the possibility that I could finish everything today and feel great about it and send it off to production very soon. I do believe that's possible, and it does excite me that I could actually let go of this and see it moving to the next stage, which is cover production, formatting, all the kind of next things that have to happen for this book to be birthed into the world. Okay, so those are the 4 first pre-pearls. There's one more, just to review in case you came on late. These 5 pre-pearls are a system that I've come up with to help at the beginning of something. It could be at the beginning of your day. It could be at the beginning of a practice session before you dive in. You just take a moment to be with yourself. And again, this doesn't have to take long. It can take seconds to go through these. Or it can take journaling, and it could take as long as you want. All right, there are no rules. My work is called the Art of Freedom method, because I enjoy having the freedom to do what I want and what I intuitively feel is best for me. And even to have the freedom to go against that sometimes, which is, I know, not in my best interest. So I try not to do that, but nobody's perfect for sure. So anyway, we have the 4 first ones, which are purpose or desire. We have open asking or wondering. We have the shadow, and we have the light. And now the 5th and last pre-pearl that we have, I call integration. And that's where we get to do, this is the moment to really consciously integrate the mind, body, spirit, soul, everything that you believe is you. You want to bring your whole self into the next activity. So this is actually, I don't want to say the most important step, but it kind of is the most important step. I mean, the purpose, they're all really important, but this is the most practically important step, let's say. And to do the integration, how do you integrate yourself? How do you actually do it? Well, that's what the Art of Freedom method is all about. And what I use, the practical steps that I use in the Art of Freedom method come from Primal Alexander, which is a very specific way of practicing the Alexander technique that has daily awareness etudes, which are, very specifically how to integrate yourself and to take yourself into action with as much ease, awareness of ease and effortlessness as possible. So that's the 5th pre-pearl. The integration is where I and my students, the people who have learned how to do this, we are actually going to do what we call constructive thinking, which gets the mind out of the way, which allows the tension to release from the physical body, and it kind of brings the mind and body together with intention for ease. And it just works really well, really quickly, and then you take yourself into action, or you allow yourself to be taken into action. Okay, words kind of get in the way at this point. But when we do the integration work of constructive thinking and the awareness etudes like TheCyCle, by the way, you may or may not have learned this awareness etude called TheCyCle, but if you are here in the Musician's Advantage Facebook group, you can find TheCyCle. There's a video up in the, look in the menu for the guides. I forget now if it's in the guides section or the featured section, but there's a video. It's called the Best Alexander Technique Exercise. It's called TheCyCle. You learn it. It takes 2 minutes. So this is the quickest, easiest way to really integrate your whole self, to bring yourself into your practicing or your writing or your dishwashing or walking the dog, whatever the next activity is that you want to go into that you use the pre-pearls for. You want to use this practice because it makes what you're going to do more easier. You're going to be more well coordinated. My English is like, you're going to be better coordinated, right? You're going to be able to bring your whole self to your activity with more ease. So I hope this is useful for you today. I hope you're enjoying this. And I'll just finish up by saying, like I said before, I've really been resisting getting to work today on my book. And there's a part of me that says, Jennifer, you should do it. Should. And the should, I know, got to look at that a little more closely, because if I'm saying should, I know that deep down I don't really want to, which is why I have talked through these 5 pre-pearls for you today. But the interesting thing is that when I did some open asking and wondering, okay, some of what I was wondering is like, okay, what is it going to take? What's it going to help me? How am I going to move into that work with the book with more ease and a better attitude and enjoyment, and to not try to answer that question, but to allow an answer to come to me, and to not have preconceived ideas or assumptions about what it's going to take to be open to receiving an answer. And I'll say I was very surprised by the answer that came to me, because the answer, well, it was twofold. First, do a live video. I'm doing it. The other thing was get out your violin and play your violin. Now, if you know me and you've been following me for a while, I don't practice much. And the truth is, since I performed Vivaldi's Four Seasons last June, that's a year ago, I have literally taken my violin out about 5 times. I haven't counted, but it's been very, very few times. In a whole year, I have hardly touched my violin. I really let it go. I've kind of moved into being a writer this year, which is a story for another day. But anyway, today I received this inspiration or guidance, whatever you want to call it, to get out my violin, and that would help me move through the resistance that I'm feeling with this book. So I've gotten out my violin, and I'm just going to finish up this video by playing a little bit, right? So we'll see what happens, right? Now, oops, sorry. Adjust this. All right, so here, I have no idea what's going to happen here. But I really do believe it's important for teachers to practice what they preach. And so much of what I'm preaching or teaching is to let go of so much. Basically, it comes down to letting go of the ego, not caring so much what people think, and just being curious about what is happening in the present moment. So, you know, Mio Morales, my partner, creator of Primal Alexander, has something that he calls the primary concern. The primary concern is to ask oneself, what's happening to me as I like whatever it is that you're doing? So I want to really make my primary concern much more important than the outcome or the results or what anyone thinks of my playing. This is a crucial thing for musicians to learn, because we are always so concerned about the sound that we make and what people think of us. And it's a challenge. It's really challenging to overcome those doubt monsters, but the primary concern solves it all. If you can get curious about what's actually happening within you and around you in this moment, then there's no more room for the doubt monsters. And when they sneak in again, you just bring yourself back to your constructive thinking. Constructive thinking is what's explained in that video I referred to called TheCyCle. So now I'm noticing little doubt monsters. I'm getting a little nervous. I haven't touched my violin in a year, basically, except a few times. And now I'm here live in front of anybody in the world, basically. So yeah, okay, so I'm doing a little constructive thinking, and I'm noticing my whole system is easing up a little bit. Some of the tension is leaving, which is a lovely thing. So I'm appreciating that. What else am I noticing? I'm appreciating that there's a softening in my arms and my legs as I do my constructive thinking. It makes me so grateful for the skill of constructive thinking, and for Primal Alexander, and for Mio, and the Alexander technique. And, you know, once you get started with gratitude, there's no end to that, right? I'm grateful I'm alive. I'm grateful I'm here. Grateful I have a violin. Okay, so as I do my constructive thinking and take off my earring, I do more constructive thinking, and I'm curious about what's going to happen, because I don't know what I'm going to play, but who really cares? This is about being carefree. Not careless, carefree. Right? So, and I'm really appreciating the sound of this violin, and I don't know why I don't play it more often, because it sounds good. I like it. So what happened? Okay, so truth is, I feel pretty good about that. I don't know what it was just a little improvisation. And it really did what it needed to do, because I now have a completely different energy to take with me into my next activity, which is going to be writing, or not writing, but working on the final steps of this book. And the book is about what I just did, the process to go from feeling stuck and wanting to do something, but there's something that's kind of in the way. And how do you work through that? How do you bring your scattered self back to who you really are, integrate yourself with ease, and bring it into the next activity, bring it into your practice session, bring it into your audition, to a lesson with your teacher, bringing it into your next performance in front of 10,000 people, if you're at that level. I do have students in my groups at wildly different skill levels. I have, for example, a couple students right now, more than a couple, but I have someone who's a faculty member at one of the most prestigious, music conservatories in the whole world. Okay. And I have someone at one of the top orchestras in the world. I have another one at one of the top orchestras. I have people who are touring. And then I also have beginner amateurs in their 70s who just picked up their instrument very recently. I do not care what a person's instrument is or what their skill level is. I care about the human being and helping that person get in touch with who they are with more ease and joy, and reminding them that they have the freedom. You watching this, you have the freedom to choose how to think and move and how to take yourself into your next creative endeavor, which is anything that you do in the next moment. Okay. So this was fun for me. I hope it was fun for you. I hope it was useful and helpful. And please, if you got anything at all out of watching this today or watching part of it, please get in touch with me, because it's not that I need your feedback, but I really would appreciate your feedback. It's really helpful for me also to know what is helpful. Okay, I haven't done a live video in a long time. I haven't played my violin in front of anybody for a long time, even in front of myself. And I was just inspired to do that today. And I'd like to know if you want more of that. Is that useful? Is it helpful? And now I'm going to go work on my book, and wish me luck. Please help me with your positive energy if you want to see this book out there, and hopefully everybody here will want to read it at some point, then please send me your positive energy for that. Also, if you're curious about the behind the scenes stuff that's going on, and you're interested in helping me with making this book a success, I do have a separate Facebook group. It's called Jennifer's Book Creation Club. If you'd like to help with that in any way, and also maybe like read some other stuff, read some of the book. Actually, there are excerpts of the book in that Facebook group. If you're curious, please come on over and join. And if you just want to know when the book's out, then you can just hit book, write book in the comments below, and I'll make sure that I put you on my list. Yeah, so anyway, thanks for watching, and good luck with whatever it is that you want to do next. And hopefully these 5 pre-pearls that I shared with you today will be useful for you today, and you'll be feeling more inspired, creative, and more tension-free as you do whatever it is you want to do. All right, thanks for being here. And I'm going to upload this to YouTube probably, and once it's there, you can share it. Unfortunately, when it's in the Facebook group, the settings of Facebook don't allow you to share this, but I will be making it available. So hopefully you can share that with your friends, and invite them into the Facebook group too, if you think this is useful. All right. Thanks. Take care and lots of love. Bye-bye.